Yeah, I'm a rookie at this, so no muffs under my belt and nothing like that. But I appreciate seeing everybody up here. When I was 8 years old, my cousin got bit on the face by a rat. I shit you not. We were going to the park to play basketball from his house, and one of the corners of the parks had this trash can, and it was overrun with garbage, and there's garbage all around the base, everywhere, and there was just a lot of rats. Now, we had passed them before, and typically they scurry, but in this day, for whatever reason, a couple didn't run. I think it was that DNA connection that they have to raccoons. And if you ever made a raccoon, I don't know if anybody's seen one, but a raccoon will look at you like, what the fuck you doing? And they'll dare you to come. The rat did the same thing. It dared us to come, and my cousin accepted the dare. Now, a couple of days prior to that, my aunt had showed us a video of Ben, the Michael Jackson movie where he befriends a mouse, and it's like his best friend. It's sad and crazy and weird all at the same fucking time. And we weren't that age, but she had it on videotape. So one day we just watched it, and I know it put in his head this idea of befriending animals that shouldn't be befriended and making pets out of animals that shouldn't be made pets out of. So like rodents, garden snakes, like random spiders, pigeons, all that thing, right? So he had this idea that he would befriend this rat. So while we're there, I had the basketball with me. He picks up a piece of food. I think it's like it could have been a French fry. It could have been a piece of a sandwich, I don't know. But he picks up a piece of the food, and the rat who's dared him to come his way is still sitting there. So he sticks out his hand, and he goes to give the French fry to the rat, and for a quick moment, it looked like it was about to be a scene out of Ben, like he was going to kiss the rat, hug it, make it his best friend forever. But I guess when he got up close to it, he realized the rat was much bigger than what he thought, and it startled him. So he kind of stumbled back a little bit, and it startled the rat. And instead of going for the French fry, the rat charged him, shit you not, and ran up like his arm and bit him on the face, and then just left. And we were freaked out, right? He dropped the French fry, I dropped the basketball, and we just hauled ass back to his mom's house. Of course, he had to go to the doctor. He didn't need stitches, but he did need a butterfly, splint or whatever it's called, bandage. And he had to get a tetanus shot. So I had to watch because I was with my aunt, so I had to watch as he got the tetanus needle stuck into his cheek, and that just traumatized me. So from that day to actually this day, me and rodents aren't cool. And it ain't got to be a rat. It could be a mouse. It could be a rat. It could be a hamster. It could be a possum. Anything furry with a tail, it don't sit well with me. Yeah, even Alvin and the Chipmunks as a kid, I watched it up until then, and after that, I wasn't cool with Alvin, Simon, or Theodore. So it just kind of messed me up. So I take that now, but I also carried that into high school. And so in high school, I carried an irrational but logical fear of rodents or uneasiness with rodents. And I also carried this desire to be a diplomat. So I was in mock trials, to be kind of like Perry Mason. And then I was in Model United Nations. And it taught me, the acumen of what it is to be a diplomat, the type of lingo and language. And I even carried that after high school into college. So in college, I had this irrational fear of rodents. I have this idea that I want to be a diplomat, really smooth, wearing a nice little suit, being like in a UN peacekeeper, something like that. And I become a vegetarian, so I become idealistic. So those are my three things that I do in college. And while I'm in college, I joined this organization called the Young Diplomats Association, YDA. Young Diplomats Association was just that. It was designed for those individuals who were in international studies or international relations that wanted to be diplomats, and it would show them, what it took to go from point A to point Z, Z being diplomat, right? And by my fourth year, I become the president of YDA. Being upper leadership, if you will, in YDA, I got the opportunity to go with. Each YDA program had a sponsor and someone who chartered the organization, helped them come along. I got to follow one of our sponsor, so it's our sponsor diplomat. I got to follow him on a mission. You got to be that way if you were the president or vice president. I applied, and I was like, all right, I get to go on a quote-unquote mission with a real diplomat, get to shadow him, see what it's like to do the job that he does and do what I want to do. And the place where he was a diplomat was Peru. So he went to Peru. I had been studying Spanish because I just had this desire to study Spanish and this idea that if I was going to be a diplomat, it was going to be in South America or the Caribbean or Latin America somewhere. Today, I can't speak a lick of Spanish. Maybe that's sixth grade, hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien. That's about it. I can't get past that. But then I was pretty fluent. So it fit. It felt like it was right. It'd be me, the diplomat's assistant, and some other assistant of sorts, and we'd spend 2 weeks in Peru, going, doing some of our diplomatic endeavors. The mission we had, which wasn't like, it wasn't like we were trying to stop nuclear arms from being traded or sex trafficking, or I was going to be Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, but it was some hefty things. What we got to do, or what I got to do, was shadow them as they tried to resolve a conflict between two communities in Peru who were fighting over this well. In Peru, this well had been dug and designed about 20 years prior, and the communities had been using it actively without any issue for the last 20 years. But something happened, and nobody really knew what happened about 6 months before we got there. And people were in conflict. They had this beef about the water well, right? But there was no real major thing that happened just yet, but there was tension. People got into fights. It was minor bloodshed. Nothing heavy, but heavy enough that if not stamped out then, it could have become something else. So the diplomat, the translators, everybody created or came up with a space in which we could have a sit-down. And the sit-down looked just like it looks on TV. It was a sit-down where we came in, and there was a long oblong table. And on either side was one group and another group. And in the middle were the two chieftains or head of state or however you want to see it. On other sides of them were about 10 of each of the members, and then, 8 of each of their members, and then we were set next to was the diplomat and one of the chiefs, and then I sat on the left side of him, and then the two assistants sat on the other side across from us, but directly across. So that's how it started. So we get everything started, and lo and behold, to me, I don't know if you guys know this about Peru, but in Peru there's a group of individuals called Quechua, and Quechua speaks Quechuan, and Quechuan is not Spanish. It's an actual native language that has been handed down to generations. It's beautiful, but I don't know it. I don't know it now. I didn't know it then. And lo and behold, to me, the only person that knew it in our group was the assistant's assistant. So he was there to help translate. So all this time back and forth, I'm here, and I don't understand shit that's going on. I don't know what people are talking. Voices are getting elevated and raised. People are getting upset. People are calming down. And it just kind of flows in that vein. We bring out the food. So we bring out food by courses to kind of help settle everything. As tensions rise, the first course comes out. And the first course is chichimorada. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's from this purple potato. And it's one of my favorite drinks in Peru. And when I go to Peruvian restaurants, I always get it. And then, that calmed things for a minute. Tensions start getting high again. The next drink comes out. It's just like malt drink. It's malted drink. Malta de coco, I think it's called. And it's made from a coca plant. And when I say coca plant, I'm not just talking hot chocolate. I'm talking like cocaine, coca plant. Like the thing that got Coca-Cola on the map back in the day was putting coca in its Coca-Cola. So it was in this liquor drink, right? So as you could imagine, as tensions get higher, this kind of helps diffuse that. So I had my chichimorada, I had my malta, I had everything. And being a staunch vegetarian at the time, it was kind of nice because nothing came out that was meat. You had different things that came out over the course of the meal. So the first two were liquid meals, I just told you. The second couple were like, random things that we ate, vegetables. Then they finally brought out the third meal, which was like potatoes. And in Peru, there's like over 5,000 versions of potatoes. And I'm not bullshitting when I say that. I work for a program that does cultural cooking. And if you go to it, you can Google the shit. It's like over 5,000 potatoes. Most of us see russet or white and maybe red, but it's like a purple potato, which I love, fingerling potatoes, all these potatoes. So I was in seventh heaven. I had liquor. I had the drink. I felt like I started to understand what was being said, but I think it was the liquor making me think I knew what they were saying. And we were almost at the last part of the meal. And then that comes out. What comes out, I don't know how to explain it. Actually, I do know how to explain it. What comes out is a kukui. Anybody know what kukui is? A kukui is, it's hamster. So in Peru, in parts of Peru and Ecuador, actually, they eat these hamsters. So they start off looking really cute. I don't know if you guys can see this. But they start off looking really cute like this. And that still freaks me out because I don't like rodents in any kind of way. And they end up looking kind of like this. And that's what was brought out. So I happened to be sitting on the edge of the table where all the food was coming through. So I passed the potatoes, I passed everything else. I had to pass a kukui down one by one individually to every individual at the table. So every time one of these like moistened looking, and they don't look like pieces of meat. As you could see if the picture, if you couldn't see it, they still have the rat form going, right? So they look like a rat jumping out and they're on these skewers. And I would pass one by, and every time that one would come by, I would just have the flashback of that rat biting my cousin. And I'm sweating. And I don't know if it's just, at first, I think it's dry sweats, but I don't know if it's dry sweats from the liquor or me just being worried. I'm hoping they think that I'm just sweating because it's hot, but they're not realizing that I'm kind of freaking out right now. And I'm passing them down. I'm passing them down. So everybody gets a kukui, right? It's just like Oprah's, Oprah's things. Everybody, you get a kukui, you get one. Everybody gets one. And I had one in front of me. And when I look to the right, to the opposite of, when I look up, the chef has come in, or the barbecuer has come in, and he's come in because he wants to take pride in this meal that's going to help bring the community back together and have everybody in line again. And, well, actually, I'm sorry. So he comes in the door, and I'm at the edge, and I look up, and I can see him standing there, and he's smirking. Well, he's looking very, stern, but he looks, and the two chieftains, they look at each other, and they take a bite. And their assistants take a bite, and they smile. They kind of break it up in thirds. And they nod to him. He smiles. The people on the right of the chieftains, they take a bite, and they smile, and they nod. And what's going through my head is, oh, shit, I'm a vegetarian, and I hate fucking rodents, and I have to take a bite of this thing right now. Because if I don't, peace in this little community that was happening is about to go to shit. It's already bad, but it's about to get worse. So everybody's taking a bite. He's feeling good. The diplomat and we all look, and I'm sweating crazy, and we take a bite. And the time when they were biting, I was looking on the kukui to see what piece might be the easiest and most tender to actually swallow, and I landed on the underbelly. So I'll bite the underbelly, and it's not tender at all. It's not tough, but it's kind of like chewing a sponge, and it's juicy. So, the juice is dripping from my mouth and, down, and I'm trying to chew it, but it's not getting any smaller. I don't know if it was mad and mine was possessed and it wanted to get back out of me, but it would not go down, right? So I was just chewing, and finally I just say, fuck it, and I swallow. And all that juice coats my throat, and I could just feel it going down my system and kind of making a splash in my stomach, like if you're at the water park and you go down the water pool, and it's there, and it's just sitting. And for a good 45 seconds, I thought I got away with it. I'm like, I'm good. I swallowed a rodent. I gave up my vegetarianism at least for a day, but idealistically, it's for the people. And about the 46th second, I could feel something moving. And like I said, it was trying to get out. And about the 60-second mark, that minute mark, I realized it was going to come out one way or the other. So it was going to come out one end or the other. So I had way more options. And in these sit-downs, you don't want to be the one to break the sit-down. And being an American, being a diplomat, I didn't want to come across as arrogant, snobby, like this whole process didn't matter. But I can't help it. So I weigh my options. I say, do I either, do something here, or I make a beeline for the restroom or outside and get out? And I decide to stand. And so over the course of the meal, I had been putting a little bit of the liquor in the Malta, a little bit of the Malta in the Chicha Morada to help me with this idea that I would have to eat this. So I had about 3 or 4 of those. So that was sitting in there with the stomach too, right? So I'm just like, but I get up, I jump up, and I'm like, I'll jump up. I kind of get up, I'm wobbly. And the diplomat looks directly at me like he's just pissed off, like, what the fuck? You're not supposed to stand up. You can fuck all this up. And I'm like, I just look at him with these sorrowful eyes, like, I'm sorry. I don't want to. If I stay here, it's going to be worse than if I leave. So I kind of make my way around him, and I stumble a bit. And as I come to him, he puts his arm out to stop me. All right, and he's sitting, his right side is on the chief's left side. So he puts his arm out to stop me, and I don't know if it's by accident or on purpose, but he hits me in the stomach. And that pushes me over the edge. So I projectile vomit right next to him on his right side, the chief on his left side, and I hit a trifecta. If you're a racing person, you know that. A trifecta, and I hit the chief across the way, or the head of state across the way. And I just looked at him, and in that moment, I just thought, oh, fuck, I got to change my major. That's what happened.
James Bell, ladies and gentlemen.